Tell me what are the problem I want to solve here. Repeat. Problem number if you have. Yeah, there was a problem of this one inertial of radius A, which is put positive charge, okay, isn't it? Inertial of radius A, which is again which has a uniform charge plus Q, so throughout this one minus Q throughout this one. In this case, they asked what is the electrostatic energy stored in the system, am I right? So now electric field exists only here and here because outside Gaussian surface encloses no net charge. Inside the inner sphere, that Gaussian surface encloses no charge. So that's why only field exists between these two spheres. And obviously, if you take Gauss law, if you take Gaussian surface where R is between A to B, if you take Gaussian surface, your Gauss law says mod E into, suppose this radius of the Gaussian surface is R, 4 pi R square is equal to Q enclosed is Q by epsilon naught, am I right? So then electric field will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square R cap when R is between A to B. Is that okay? R is between A to B. So this is the net electric field. This is the total electric field. Is that okay? This is the total electric field. So due to outside as well as inside. So now look at here. So again, you can just use this one for exam point of view. E square d2. You have to integrate from this region, from A to B region. You will get what is that other one, epsilon naught by 2. Am I right? Epsilon naught by 2 integral of E square d2. That will give total electrostatic energy stored in the system. It's done. Is that okay? But he is asking you to find in other way. Am I right? Finding the individual electric field and use other formula. What was that one? So total electrostatic energy. This was also total. Why I have taken electric field total here, isn't it? Other one side. So I mean total electrostatic energy, that is E1 plus E2 vector addition whole square d2. I think epsilon naught by 2. Am I right? So this we know that was equal to W1 plus W2 plus I think epsilon naught integral of E1 dot E2 d2 again, isn't it? E1 dot E2 d2. So now how to apply this formula to this situation? Okay, because in other problem he asked this one, isn't it? He asked what is integral of E1 dot E2. That's why. So what you have to imagine, I mean, while doing this one, you have to imagine those two spheres exist independently. Isn't it? That's how we apply superposition principle. While taking electric field due to one charge, we will assume there is no other charge. There is no other effect of charge. Is that okay? Effect of no other charge. So that's why. So now you have to consider sphere of radius A, sphere of radius B separately. Okay, when you take sphere of radius A, which contains charge Q on the surface, isn't it? So plus Q on the surface. Now what is the electric field? Electric field is outward like this. Am I right? So let me call this electric field as E1. Electric field due to only inner one. Okay, only inner one that exists from A to infinity. That field exists from A to infinity. That is radially outward because positive charge, isn't it? Uniformly distributed. So that's why E1 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Yeah, I better write like this. All of those electric field I better write in a function, isn't it? So in bracket, isn't it? So that's equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square R cap when R is greater than A, 0 when R is less than A. At R equal to A, it will have discontinuity because of surface charge. We have seen. Okay. Now, electric field due to only this one, this contains minus Q charge. this one, outer one. Okay, so that will be obviously that should be inward. Am I right? Electric field only due to this one, that should be inward. Why? There is negative charges on the surface. So then look at here. Then how do you find your electric field? Can I write it here? Electric field. Let me write E2 only due to this one. Right. So while finding this one, you should assume there is no this pair. Okay. That's how we do, and that's how the superposition principle works. Okay. E2 is equal to again 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught minus q by r square r cap. Obviously, it is along minus r cap. Okay. So when r is greater than b, am I right? And when r is less than b, it is 0. Now you have to do this part over all space. You have to do this one over all space, this one over all space, isn't it? You have to do this one also over all space. Now look at here. When you take E1 dot E2, in some region, one of them is 0, which is the region from A to B. Isn't it? From A to B, this is 0. Only after B, this is non-zero. Isn't it? This electric field is 0 in this region, am I right? A to B. Suppose, imagine this were here. Imagine this were here. Isn't it? But this electric field starts from A, but this electric field starts from B, isn't it? Then you have to take common limit, isn't it? Common range. So common range is B to infinity in this part of the integral. You try to verify that one, because in the next problem, he asked what is the, he called this one as interaction energy, I think. Am I right? Interaction energy? Yeah, he called that one as interaction energy. So now, again, while working out, you will get to know one thing is how to apply superposition principle, how it works actually. Is that okay? It is little, I mean, once you find, so this is application of Gauss law. I mean, so in the actual answer, electric field exists only from A to B. There is no electric field outside B or inside A, isn't it? So that's the Gauss law output. So this is the individual output. Is that okay? So that you can see here itself, I think when you place this whole thing inside this one, try to merge now and add your electrostatic field vectorially, isn't it? Inside there is no field due to outside one. That's why this field exists. Is that okay? Outside you have electric field in the opposite direction and magnitudes are same. Look at it. Outside the outer one, it will get cancelled. Just to take this one, so try to merge it here. Okay? Then what it will do, it will produce electric field like this. Isn't it? Inner one. Suppose if I take superposition principle, how it works. Now look at here, outside the outer one, it got cancelled. Inside, this exists. You can assume like that also. Lot of ideas. Isn't it? That's why only in this region your electric field exists. But for exam point of view, just do that volume integral from A to B, so that R runs from A to B. That's done. Okay. So in the next problem, yeah, what's the next question? Question. So here's no comment. See the comment. Why I should divide by charge? No, I mean, so this is the electrostatic energy stored. It's not again work done in moving the charge. So this is work done in assembling whole configuration. It's not work done in moving one charge, 1 point charge or something. Work done in assembling this configuration. Again, that idea was started with that idea. What is that? I have a point charge. So we are going to take 1 point charge and then we are going to move other charge in the field of that one, like that. But here again, our idea is again assembling whole charge. Okay. Yeah. Again, we are not talking about any point charge. So that is what is the problem number? Any idea? 2.36. Now what else I have to solve quickly? This is 2.36. 37. find the interaction energy that is epsilon naught integral E1 dot E2 d2 for 2-point charges Q1 and Q2. He has given all hint in that problem. He has given almost everything. So again, unit coordinate geometry, x cap, y cap, z cap. Okay, he said place one of them in the origin, place other one along z axis. Am I right? At a distance a from the origin. That's what he said. Now find the interaction energy like that, isn't it? Now electric field at any point. So first we have to find electric field at some arbitrary point. Then we have to integrate that E1 dot E2, isn't it? So now let me call electric field due to this one is E1 vector. Electric field due to this one is E2 vector. Is that okay? E1 vector, E2 vector. The problem is, E1 vector is along r cap. If you take, again he said polar coordinate. Again, read out the question. He said, so take the polar coordinate. This is my theta. Am I right? This is my theta. So again, actually I would have done those spherical integrals very earlier, where we need to use this kind of thing. Anyway, we have done that one yesterday. We have done that kind of vector algebra yesterday. Wait a second. Now what is E1 vector? 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught Q1 by r square r cap, because Q1 is placed at the origin. Electric field due to that one, it's along r cap direction. It's already in polar coordinate, isn't it? So now electric field due to Q2, that will be some italic r. Can I write it as italic r vector? Electric field due to Q2, that will be not a radial distance, but he asked us to find in polar coordinate. Am I right? So then what is E2? Let me write down 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught Q2 divided by italic r square italic r cap. Now this is already in polar coordinate. Your effort should be to find this one in polar coordinate. This one cannot be written directly in polar coordinate exactly. So this can be written in terms of z cap and r cap. Look at here, vector addition. Isn't it? I am going to define one vector here. Other vector already defined. So other vector is this one. R vector. So A into z cap vector, italic r vector. What is italic r vector? The same vector algebra I have done yesterday also. Okay, we are doing this one frequently. Okay, to find any one of the component in terms of other, isn't it? Yeah. R minus A z cap, R vector minus A z cap plus R vector, italic r vector. Okay. So now look at here. Now you have R cap. Again, you can divide by its magnitude. You better write R vector by R cube, italic R vector by R cube. Multiply and divide by italic R vector here. 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught Q2 by R cube R vector. Whenever we need, you can just find that. What is it? Cube. Am I right? So what is italic R? Root of R square plus A square. Isn't it? Whenever you need, you can substitute italic R. Isn't it? Now look at here. Yeah, these two are known. These two are known, whatever mentioned. Okay. Yeah, and again, you are going for spherical polar coordinate to do that volume integral. Our ultimate aim is to find epsilon naught E1 dot E2 d2. Epsilon naught E1 dot E2 d2. Okay. So now, once you, I hope you got this one. Italic r cap into italic r. Divide by, again, multiply and divide. Okay. Unit vector into magnitude of the vector is vector itself. So that's why 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught Q2 divided by R cube, italic R vector is R vector minus A z cap. Now if you take dot product between these two, everything is known in polar coordinate. Look at here, if you take dot product, R cap, R cap, R vector, you can write as R cap. R vector, R cap. Am I right? When you take dot product between these two, Look at here, r cap, z cap, r cap. Z cap dot r cap is cos theta. You know the angle between them, isn't it? So that's why everything is known in polar coordinate. So again, your aim is to, your next step is to write E1 dot E2. What is that E1 dot E2? 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught the whole square, Q1 Q2, am I right? Q1 Q2. So 1 by r square from this one, 1 by italic r cube, 1 by r square, 1 by italic r cube, r cap dot this one, am I right? R cap dot this one, r cap dot r cap, r cap dot z cap. I think that would be r minus a cos theta. Check it out. I think integral would be lengthy, isn't it? But try that one. Try that out. No, wait a second. If you put d to this, r square will get cancelled, okay? But r minus a cos theta, how do you do that one? Again, you have to do with respect to r, with respect to theta again, isn't it? If functions are multiplicative, it was very easy. Take theta part one side, r part one side, isn't it? If functions are additive, one is r function, one is theta function, then you have to do r first, then you have to do theta. Are you getting my idea? Do that integral. Yeah, what else? Quickly. 2.40. No, he referred some other articles, okay, 2.40. You better have a note on that one, okay. He referred some article, just below he mentioned those articles. Part A point charge Q inside a cavity in an uncharged conductor. Is force on Q necessarily 0? Yeah. No. Why he is asking that question? A point charge Q inside a cavity in an uncharged conductor. Uncharged conductor. He said uncharged conductor. Am I right? Some arbitrarily shaped uncharged conductor. I have a cavity. Okay. You have charge Q. So plus Q, it will induce minus charges here. Am I right? Then because of induction, it will be dragged, isn't it? Why he is thinking that it is stationary? Are you getting my point? You can't keep that charge at space actually. Or take your infinite grounded plane and a charge problem. If you leave that charge will hit down that infinite plane actually. Or if you take a spherical conductor and if you put a charge inside, so in front of that one, because of the induction, there will be opposite charge on the conductor and it will be attractive force, isn't it? Now look at here, you can't place any charge at rest in space using only electrostatic force. Are you getting my point? That's again Earnshaw theorem, next chapter, isn't it? So the chapter that we are discussing, that's why definitely it will be, it will hit down that surface actually. Due to potential? Okay. Yeah, it can't be stationary. At that instant, force is 0. Am I right? When you place this one, charges will be there around that one in such a way that net force is 0. That's what you are saying. Yeah, that is true. Net force is 0, but it will not be at rest, isn't it? Always not 0. over the surface, over the outside surface. No, he is talking about this charge, isn't it? A point charge Q inside a cavity in an uncharged conductor is force, am I right? He is not asking whether it is moving or not, isn't it? Okay, in this situation, force is 0. So again, you are saying I should have a cavity that is very nearby the surface, am I right? That's what you are saying. So then if you put plus Q here, now minus Q, whatever, those minus Q will be here. That's what you are saying. Am I right? So this minus Q will be here. This minus Q will be outside. That's what he argued. Yeah. So then there will be no, what you call, force due to this part, which will not balance this one. That's what you are saying. Yeah. That may happen. Okay. Just have a note on this one. Whatever he said, just have a note on this one. Again, second problem, he is referring some article from American Journal of Physics. Better not to again go through that article. Have a note on that one. Okay. I mean, if he mentioned anything from his solution manual, have a note on that one. Okay. In TIFR exam, they are asking this kind of question very frequently. Okay. 2.40. Okay. That is, yeah. What is the answer now? Is force on Q necessarily 0? No. In this situation, it is not 0. In this situation, it is 0. Am I right? Yeah. Charges will be induced in such a way that net force is 0. Yeah. How do you argue that one in this situation? No, that's okay. I mean, I'm talking about plus Q charge inside cavity. This is okay. Positive charges will be here. Now, how do you say charges are induced? I mean, how net force is 0? These force directions are like that. Am I right? It is dragged equally from all sides. Isn't it? That's why force is 0. Yeah, how do you say that? Are you getting my point? How do you argue? It's not a sphere where charge is placed exactly at the center, isn't it? It's arbitrarily shaped cavity. Are you getting my idea? If you had a sphere where you put plus Q charge like that, suppose thick sphere, take it like that, okay? Then minus Q will be distributed here. Now net force will be 0. It is equally dragged. Suppose I am placing this Q somewhere here. Conductors, okay? This is conductor, yeah. Then, yeah. Okay. More charges here. Less charges here. Then, but look at here, when, okay, these forces are strong, am I right? It balances, that's what you are saying? I'm not getting how. Now, force due to this one, again, charge density is low and force magnitude is also low. Charge density is high, force magnitude is also high. But is that 0? That's what he has given? 0. Yeah. 3 point? Okay, next chapter. Wait a second. I better to do this. Can you do this 2.39, 2.38 and 2.39? I hope you can do that one, isn't it? So again, in TFR, they have asked that kind of question. Okay, if you got any problem, question, post it into Facebook. Let me answer that one. 2.39 is two spherical cavities of radii A and B hollowed out of interior of a neutral conducting sphere of radius r. What is force on Q and QB? Look at here. In this in this question, he placed QI and QB exactly at the middle of the cavity. Okay, cavities also are also spherical. Okay, cavities are also spherical, but QA and QB, QA, QB, he placed it exactly at the center. Then he asked what is the force on QA and QB. That's okay, but if it is somewhere else other than the middle, I think there will be net force. Just check it out. Are you getting my question? So he placed it exactly at the middle, isn't it? Plus QA, both are positive, 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 am I right? A, B. So now due to this positive, negative charges are accumulated on the surface, am I right? Negative charges are accumulated on the surface. So total this negative charge should be minus QA, total this negative charge should be minus QB. These charges should have taken from the outside, am I right? I mean, so outside you will have positive charge, the net charge is QA plus QB. Because total negative charge taken inside is minus QA minus QB, outside you should have plus QA plus QB. That's the net charge. Because of surface is uniform, those should be uniform. Now, what is the force on QA and QB? That's 0. I think that's because of the fact that it is placed at the center. Are you getting my point? Now, my question is, I'll take very simple one. I'll take very thick sphere, okay? I'll place plus Q charge exactly at the center. Okay, I'll take again similar thick sphere. Now, I'm going to place my plus Q charge just away from the center. Is that okay? So here net force is 0, that you can see, isn't it? Because of symmetry. So what about this one? And get me the answer. Okay, whether there exists a net force, or if you leave this one, whether it will hit the surface or not. If you leave this one also, it will hit the surface. Why? It cannot be put in stationary point. I mean, there exists no what you call minima, potential minima usually. Okay, be careful. So yeah, try to answer this question. So have you seen 2.39 parts E? Which of these answers would change if a third charge Q brought near the conductor? In this one, what would happen? Suppose plus Q brought near the conductor. These two will be isolated. These two will never change. That's our shielding effect, Faraday cage effect. Is that okay? So that's why this surface charge density will change. Is that okay? These two will never change. These two configuration will never change. Remember, you have a conductor in between. Okay, closed conductor. Okay. So try to answer all of this question, 38 and 39 problem, and have a note on 40th problem. Okay. If you feel that is difficult, so have a note on that one, because again, they are not restricting themselves to ask any question. Okay. Are you getting my point? So even though it is an article problem, so you better to have a note on that one at least. Okay. So what else? Quickly, next chapter. What was that? 2 point? Yeah. These are positive charges. That's what I'm assuming. He said QA, QB. Okay. He hasn't mentioned, but let me take them as positive. If it is negative, ulta will happen. Anyway, sign of them will take care. Am I right? If this is positive, negative charges will be induced here. Negative charges. These conductor was earlier uncharged, isn't it? Conductor was uncharged earlier. So now these charges should be drawn out of the conductor. Again, positive charges should remain on the conductor, that they will be remain on the outer surface. When you bring other charge, only outer surface charge distribution will be altered. It will tend to repel this one, or it will tend to what you call induce negative charge here. Isn't it? If this third charge is also positive. Is that okay? Yeah. Any other question? 3.4. Yeah, 3.4 you better to do a gradient, okay? I mean, I don't know how he found that one. So first we shall understand 3.1, okay? Again, 3.4 is an extension of that one. Now again, let me state this one. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this one actually. Anyway, now you tried those problems. Now you have some experience. I hope so. Is that okay? I'm going to take one sphere which is centered at the origin. There are no other charges placed at this point, okay? Whenever I draw like that, you will feel like that, am I right? There may be, again, no charges on the surface also. I'm not taking spherical charge distribution, okay? This is the imaginary surface over which I'm finding average of the potential, okay? So now look at here. You got two situations. One situation is this one. So second situation is this one. One situation, you have charges outside. Q1, Q2, Q3 like that outside, okay? You have other situation. You better to draw this one because while you're revising. So in this one, charges are only inside. Q4, Q5, Q6 like that, okay? This is a spherical surface of radius r. So now, in this region, if you apply your logic, your Laplace equation is satisfied, am I right? In this region. That's why average of the potential over the surface should be equal to potential at the center, because now surface is neighborhood of the center. Are you getting my point? So since surface is neighborhood of the potential, center point, so then look at here, you can take potential average, V average, in this case will be equal to V at center. Is that okay? V at center. Now in this situation, V average is equal to, that's not V at center. That's what the next problem. We were talking about Z minus R minus Z on that day, isn't it? So again, that Z will get cancelled when you take this part. That Z will get cancelled. Again, that proof is for only one charge along Z axis. Okay, on Z axis, then you can generalize. So there are many other charges like that. You can just, because potential also follows superposition principle. V1 plus V2 plus V3 like that. Is that okay? Now look at here. V average is equal to 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught constant. Average of the potential is not equal to potential at the center due to charges. So this is potential at center due to outside charges. Is that okay? Potential at the center due to outside charges. Now this V average is equal to this one. Now what I am doing, so now look at here, I am finding average due to outside charges, I am finding average due to inside charges. Now if you add those, you are finding average due to inside as well as outside charges. There is the problem. Isn't it? Because while finding average, let me argue like this. V average 1 by 4 phi r square integral V dA. Am I right? That's how you do. Now can I write V1, V2, V3? Because again, total potential due to all charges. Isn't it? So now let me divide this one into potential due to outside charges plus potential due to inside charges. Potential suffers superposition principle again. Can I write like that? This net, I have to take actually net potential when I have both situation together, when I merge these two together. So I have charges inside as well as outside my spherical surface. So then what should I write? Potential due to, so inside plus potential due to outside. That's the total potential. I am finding average potential due to, now let me draw my configuration like this. Okay, I have a radius r here. I have some charges inside. I have some charges outside. Then can I just draw like that? There, okay. Q1, Q2, Q3, suppose Q4, Q5, Q6 like that. Am I right? Now I have some charges inside, some charges outside. In that situation, what I do? I need average potential over the spherical surface. Okay? So then, while doing that one, I have to take total potential due to all charges, isn't it? So while taking the total potential, I am going to take potential due to inside plus potential due to outside, dA. Now can I split this one? Is that okay? Can I split this one? That integral, because integral is always linear operation, am I right? So now what I do? I need average potential over the spherical surface. Okay, so while taking the total potential due to all charges, isn't it? So while taking the total potential, I am going to take potential due to inside plus potential due to outside, dA. Now can I split this one? Is that okay? Can I split this one? That integral, because integral is always linear operation, am I right? when I split this one, look at here, total V average, so 1 by 4 phi r square, okay, so integral V due to outside dA, so plus 1 by 4 phi r square integral V due to inside dA. Again, what I have written, total average as average due to outside charges, average of the potential due to outside charges plus average of the potential due to inside charges. Now we know this one. This will give, again, potentials of our superposition principle. That will give potential at the center due to outside charges. Look at this configuration, isn't it? Obviously, mathematically, that should give, so potential at center due to outside charges. This one. Plus, what is this one? This will give constant. Average of the potential due to inside charges, that will be this one. 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught Q enclosed by capital R. R square R. That's what he has written. Then he mentioned V center is due to outside charges. He mentioned next sentence was that. Total average due to inside as well as outside charges is equal to potential. So total average potential due to inside charges as well as outside charges is equal to potential at center due to outside charges plus this constant term. Again, try to do it yourself again, the whole thing. Now, I'll just move on to 3.4 and I'm going to take the gradient. Can I do that? Average is a kind of addition and divide by something, am I right? So since potential and electric field follows the superposition principle, that's why I can relate that average potential to average electric field just by gradient. How do you prove? How do you prove? Look at here, if suppose you have done V1 plus V2 by 2 as V average, okay, so then how do you write E average? Del V1, that is E1, or E1 plus E2 by 2. Why I'm saying you can just put a gradient and you can show for electric field, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to show. Look at here. Again, average electric field can be found out of gradient of average potential. That's what I'm arguing here. Okay, you have average potential. Suppose, so take arbitrary example. You have average potential. This is average potential. Average electric field. Now look at here. Average electric field. Can I write as minus del V1 minus del V2 whole divided by 2? Isn't it? Yeah. Speak out. So now look at here. This will be minus del of V1 plus V2 whole divided by 2. What is this one? E average is equal to minus del of, for arbitrary one, not for this example. Again, I can generalize that one to any situation. Okay. So now, for average potential due to inside charge is constant. That's why its gradient equal to 0. Average electric field due to inside charge is 0. That's that problem. And these two will be equal. After you take gradient of this one will be equal to gradient of this one, because gradient of this one is 0. Okay, have a note on that. And I don't know how he has done. I think this would be the best idea. What he has done? Electric field. Not necessary. Okay, take this idea. So take this note and think over it. Average electric field and average potential can be related because of superposition principle again. Again, here our average is in terms of integral. Here I have written average in terms of summation. Both are same. Okay. Integration is extended. Yeah. Next problem. Three point 1.4. Just check it. 1 by. That is again, you are taking average over spherical surface of total surface area 4 pi r. Am I right? So that's why you have to divide by this one. That's why you have to divide by this one. Suppose you have taken, so we have started with x here, x plus a, x minus a. Am I right? V of x plus a, V of x minus a divided by 2. Am I right? You had only 2 points. You had only 2 points. Now, so then in 2 dimension you have taken one circle, because neighborhood of a point in 2 dimension is a circle. You divide by 2 pi r. Am I right? Here you have to divide by surface area. So that is the way of taking the average. That's the way of taking average. Yeah. So now one more problem somewhere. You told some more problem. 3.4214. No, this problem is also a kind of merging of Cartesian and polar. I think I discussed this problem. I think I have discussed this problem. I mean, 3.1.4 means Laplace equation in 3 dimensions. Laplace equation in 3 dimensions. We have done that integral. I mean, to show that one, average potential due to outside charge is equal to so potential at the center. Again, that is also writing italic r in polar coordinate only. Just check it out. Okay, Z is constant over there. Z is not variable. When you make the average throughout that surface, only your theta and phi again. So look at that. Z will not be variable. I mean the proof that he has given for Laplace equation in 3 dimensions. Proof that he has given. Laplace equation in 3 dimensions. He has taken charge outside. We have done that one, isn't it? That Z minus R minus Z problem. Yeah, that is the problem. Okay. That's also exactly same problem where I defined one Z vector, italic R vector, and have used vector algebra to define italic R vector. Okay. Just find the similarity. We have used many times. Okay, that vector algebra, because we need theta. Or we can write everything in terms of theta. We can avoid our Cartesian. That is again transformation into polar coordinate. That is, look at here. At the end again he will integrate with respect to r square sin theta d theta d phi. Okay, dA is writing it as r square sin theta d theta d phi. Ultimate aim is to write that italic r in terms of polar, where Z equal to constant. Okay, Z also appears. Am I right? Just check it out. Z also appears, but it is constant. Okay, that is a problem in polar coordinate. Yeah. What else? Yeah, any more question? I hope you can do problem number 3.10, 10th problem in 3rd chapter. Infinite line charge placed in front of the grounded conducting plane. You have to see from one plane. Am I right? I mean, you have to take one cross-sectional plane and you have to see the problem. Okay, I hope you can do that one. But planes are given in a different way here. Okay, we discussed that I think 2.52 or 54 in the last 2.52, same as that one, but axes are changed. Okay, be careful and try to do that one. And I think what else? Shall I move on? I hope you have done all of this problem. 29. Okay, 30th problem. Shall we do 30th problem? That's the best idea. Surface charge distribution. You need to find dipole moment. Sigma is equal to k cos theta on the surface of the sphere. He hasn't mentioned whether it is a conductor or not. Only surface charge is mentioned. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Again, little low confidence to that. Sigma equal to k cos theta. Calculate the dipole moment of this charge configuration. Find the approximate potential at a far from the sphere and compare your answer with the earlier one. Because we found potential due to this charge configuration. Am I right? In the last section, he found potential due to this one. Remember, if any question that comes from this part, it will come in 5 marks part. Okay? Probability of getting the question in this part, it will come in 5 marks part. In this one and in polarization section, okay, in the next chapter, okay. So k cos theta. Now look at here, k cos theta distribution. Suppose if you have chosen this one as z cap, so I mean theta equal to 0 is this part, am I right? When theta equal to minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, I mean your cos theta is positive. I hope you know that one, am I right? Minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2, cos theta is positive, then it will go like this, isn't it? So that's why you have positive charge distribution here. And that charge distribution is not uniform, okay? Why? Because it's a function of theta again. Is that okay? If you take any arbitrary point, theta is this way. And at this equatorial point, you have no charge. Why? Theta equal to 90 degree. And when theta is greater than 90 degree, cos theta is negative. You have negative charge distribution here. A little high charge distribution, low charge distribution here. It will be lower where it says cos theta. Okay. Now look at here, whether it has net dipole moment or not. That's my question. Whether this configuration has net dipole moment or not. Try to configure small dipole moment. Try to add them vectorially. Net charge is 0. Net charge is 0. Can you just find? Net charge is 0. How do you show net charge is 0? Integral sigma dA. Am I right? dA is your spherical surface elementary one. K cos theta. What is dA? R square sin theta d theta d phi. Why r square? Because capital we are doing the surface integral to find total charge. Am I right? Cos theta sin theta d theta 0. Check it out. 0 to 5. Theta running from 0 to 5. Do that one. Cos theta sin theta d theta, integration of theta from 0 to 5. That is 0. That I can see because positive charge distribution here, similar negative charge distribution exists here. That's why net charge is 0. That I can interpret. Yeah. Net charge is 0. Potential, you don't have to think of what you call location of origin. Am I right? Whenever net charge is 0, your dipole moment is independent of the choice of the origin. Okay? Integral of sin theta d theta d phi. Theta running from 0 to 5. So write it as sin 2 theta. Sin 2 theta whole divided by that's also okay, or substitute whatever. Okay? It will be 0. So again, now look at here. Let me constitute tiny dipoles here. Positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, like that. Am I right? Look at here. Positive to negative. These dipoles, look at here. This horizontal component will cancel out. isn't it? Suppose I have taken one dipole, small tiny dipole, because of dq here. Okay, then it will have vertical component, vertically downward component, horizontal component. I can find similar dipole here, which will have horizontal component, which will cancel out effect of horizontal component of this. Am I right? Vertical component will get added. Definitely you will have net vertical component, positive to negative. Am I right? Dipole moment from positive to negative. No, negative to positive. Here I have done ulta. Dipole moment from negative to positive. You have to assume like this. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Suppose you have one dipole moment like this, other dipole moment like this. These two will add up its vertical component. Horizontal component will get cancelled out. But you can't do like that. You have to go for actual formula to find net dipole moment. But this is the idea. It has net dipole moment. Okay. Now, what is your formula for dipole moment? Integral r prime vector or rho of r prime d tau prime. But you don't have volume charge distribution. Then what will you do? So that's why you would have written r prime vector into dq actually. Is that okay? That is the most general. Usually while discussing the theory, we will take volume charge distribution. But replace that this part, this was small elementary charge, am I right? Charge density into small volume. Okay, now suppose let me take small area here. This is R, am I right? This contains dA and its charge on that one is dq. Charge on that one is dq. Is that okay? So now it is at a distance, it is at an angle theta from z cap. Is that okay? It is on the surface of the sphere. On the surface of the sphere, imagine like that. Isn't it? Now somewhere here you may draw perpendicular like that. Whatever, it's not needed, I think. Wait a second. Now this is my from origin. Let me choose origin here because it's very easy to do the integral. Now total charge is 0. I can choose origin anywhere, isn't it? Let me choose origin here. Now what is this r prime? Location of location of charges. Am I right? So that is r into r cap. Can I write like this? R prime vector, location of the charges from the origin. So now what is dq? Sigma dA. What is dA? Patch of area on the surface, isn't it? That is dA along r cap direction in our coordinate geometry, isn't it? What is this one? Integral r prime vector sigma. What is this dA? R square sin theta d theta d phi, because you are on the surface, r equal to capital R. Okay. Now again sigma will introduce one more cos theta. Wait a second, that's not 0 because this is a vector. Now when you move this patch of area, what will you get? You will get r. You will get this r prime vector, that is a variable. Remember. Okay. R prime vector, that is variable. Now what would you do? So we had very first problem in Griffiths. In that integral, he has written that italic r in terms of x cap and z cap. Do you remember? Very first problem on electric field, isn't it? Once you write that one in Cartesian coordinate, throughout the integral, that Cartesian unit vectors will never change. Again, apply the same idea. Apply the same idea. R prime vector, that is x cap plus y cap plus z cap. Okay, what is x here? Again, transformation from the polar. What is x here? R sin theta, r sin theta cos phi, r sin theta cos phi, but you are on the surface, r equal to capital R. Isn't it? Everything cos theta sin phi, x equal to r. Okay, I too forgot. Cos phi only, cos phi. Yeah, again draw that one. If you got confusion, draw that one like this. Theta r. What is this one? R sin theta. Okay, this length. This is r sin theta cos phi. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, plus y r sin theta sin phi plus r cos theta. Sorry, I forgot that unit vectors. X cap plus r sin theta sin phi, y cap plus r cos theta z cap. Is that it? Now look at here. While doing the integral, you can keep x cap, y cap, z cap outside, and anyway, your variables are d theta, d phi. You can do that one. Now you have to observe which integrals are zero. So sigma contains one more cos theta. Remember, sigma contains one more cos theta. X cap, y cap components will be zero. You have to show that one. What would be x cap component? Sin theta here, sin square theta, one more cos theta from sigma. Cos theta into sin square theta, sin cube theta by 2. 0 to 5, 0. Okay, like that. Okay, you have to show that those integrals are 0. X cap, y cap, the integral along with x cap, y cap are 0. Can you do further part? Substitute this one, split the integral, take some space in your page. Okay, substitute this one, split the integral, write down the individual component, think over it, which is 0, which is non-zero. Phi part will not be 0, I think. No, phi part will be 0. Sin phi, look at it. Sin phi, integral of sin phi d phi, 0 to 2 phi, that's 0. Sin phi comes, take off that one, is that it? So now in this one, you will get cos square theta. One cos theta from this one. Okay, one cos theta from this one. One more sin theta. Cos square theta, sin theta d theta, that will be non-zero. Ultimately, that's what I am expecting in my net dipole moment along z cap. Okay, non-zero. So find out that one. Okay, I have given all hint. Substitute, split the integral and do that. Now, once you find the net dipole moment, okay. So again, monopole moment is 0. Am I right? In this configuration, monopole moment is 0. Now, how do you write V dipole? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. When you can use this one? It was P cos theta by r square. What was that cos theta? Remember that when you align your dipole moment along z cap, here it is along z cap. Your answer is along z cap. So you can directly use this formula. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah, any question? No, this is a small dq. Again, start your theory with dq. Start your very beginning formula with dq. Is that okay? You can, wherever you had rho d tau, you can put dq. Then proceed. Because volume charge is the most general, we start with that one in theory. Okay? So write it as dq. This is the charge per unit volume into unit volume. Like that, dq. Okay, elementary volume. Sorry. So this is elementary charge, small amount of charge. When you go for surface, you have to write dq equal to sigma dA. Okay, in earlier, where we derived the theory, put this part as dq. There is no, what you call, harm. Is that okay while doing that one? Yeah. Isn't it? Now you can find this one, you can substitute and you can find this is the approximate potential for large distance. Why? Dipole moment term is non-zero, then that is the dominant term at large distance. Monopole moment is 0, total charge is 0. Are you getting the idea? So that's why, so potential falls off like 1 by r square at very large charge. I hope you have done 3.32 Again, finding the dipole moment term. If net charge is non-zero, dipole moment depends on the choice of the origin. He has given where is the origin. 32 problem at 29 and 30. Yeah, at the time can I, so shall I move on? Yeah. Which one? Sigma is charge per unit. I hope sigma is surface charge density, isn't it? Surface charge density over this one, sigma. Am I right? So now if you multiply again, so what do you mean by surface charge density? dA by dQ. Sorry, dQ by ds. Charge per unit area. Am I right? Now dA can be written as sigma dQ. Sorry, dQ can be written as sigma dA. Am I right? Now how dA is r square sin theta d theta d phi. Now look at here. Do you remember dAr r square sin theta d theta d phi along r cap? Am I right? Now whatever the patch of area, small patch of area, if you have taken off from the spherical surface, that area vector, that will be along r cap. I mean, I am talking about area element which is along r cap, again whose perpendicular is along r cap. Am I right? Now I need magnitude of this one. Here I don't need vector. In our surface integral we have used this one, am I right, as a vector, E dot dA, like that. But here I know I don't need vector, but I need mod of dAr, r square sin theta d theta d phi, but you are talking about on the surface of radius capital R. That's why I put r square equal to capital R. Is it clear? Which surface area we are talking about? We are talking about surface area on the surface of a sphere. Am I right? That patch of area, it will have its area vector along r cap, and I need only magnitude of that one in this one. If you are starting from your coordinate, okay, only in case of surface integral you need direction also, r cap also. I just ruled out this r cap, that's it. Is it okay? Magnitude, we have taken magnitude. Yeah. So this is DAR magnitude. If you are feeling uncomfortable, write DAR. Okay, from coordinate. Wait a second, let me quickly introduce electric field due to dipole. We need this concept in the next chapter again. First, let me define potential due to dipole. Potential due to dipole. 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught r cap dot p or p vector dot r cap divided by r square. Okay. Remember, when this is true, when the dipole moment is points along the z cap direction. Remember, when your dipole moment vector, okay, if it points along z cap direction, then only this formula is true. You will try to write that one in coordinate free form. Okay, so later 36 problem, I think, just you can just note down later. Okay, now look at here. So V dipole, obviously this will be r comma theta, am I right? Problem of azimuthal symmetry, kind of problem of azimuthal symmetry. When you rotate like this, nothing will change. Okay, when you change theta, when you change r, potential may change. Okay. Now look at here. If to find electric field due to dipole, only dipole contribution. Okay, there may be higher term. Only electric field due to dipole. Okay, because this electric field will have curl. Let me show that one. So I was disturbed with that fact actually. This electric field will have curl, but that is the approximated one. We have taken all part. Okay, this is the part of total multipole expansion. Remember. Okay. Now that was minus gradient of potential minus gradient of V dipole. Again, you better to do that one in polar coordinate. Am I right? Write this one as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay. So P cos theta divided by r square. Okay. Divided by only theta and r. How do you write del in polar coordinate? R cap by 1 dou by dou r of V. So plus theta cap by r dou by dou theta of V plus phi cap by r sin theta dou by dou phi of. Now this part is 0 anyway. V doesn't depend on phi. Okay, only these two parts have to do. Can I write last expression? Do this one. Do this step. Okay. So now look at here. Today again we take a gap and we shall start our class by 12 o'clock again. Okay. So let me take one more class. After break, let me take one more class. Again, in between, solve all of those problems. Okay, at 12 o'clock, 12 to 1 hour. Okay, I'll give some more homework before evening. Okay, evening again 1.5 hours. Okay, do these problems. Okay, just whatever the missing step, do this one, just a derivative. Okay, now let me write electric field due to dipole. Electric field due to dipole. So P by 4 phi epsilon naught r cube, because if you take r derivative, you will get 1 by r cube, and here 1 by r is already there, cos theta derivative, and 1 by r square is there, r cube will come out. Okay, that becomes 2 cos theta r cap plus sin theta theta cap. Now here, to understand this vector field, you need all coordinate geometry idea. What is r cap direction? What is theta cap direction in different point in space? Because your polar coordinate is very special, isn't it? R cap and theta cap will take different direction at different point in space. Yeah, speak out. No negative sign. Cos theta minus sin theta. 1 by r minus 1 by r. And one more negative sign here in gradient. Negative gradient, okay? I have taken here. I have taken that negative sign here. Okay, take that negative sign. Now, I hope I told you how to imagine that r cap and theta cap. Now look at here. Suppose if you are on the z axis, suppose I have a dipole here. If you are on the z axis, so concentrate carefully, your theta equal to 0. On the z axis, r, your r is this one now. So what is this E dipole? E dipole r comma theta. You have to write like this. E r comma theta. Okay, if I am on the z axis from the origin, that means my theta equal to 0. Theta is measured with respect to z axis. Am I right? So now position vector is this one. Okay. Now your r cap is along this direction. Your theta cap is somewhere here, perpendicular to that one. Now look at here. Theta equal to 0. That's why this part is 0. Your electric field is along r cap direction on the z axis. Am I right? Suppose if you are on y axis from origin, yeah, this is r cap, this is theta cap, but this angle is 90 degree. If you are on y-axis, this part is 0, r cap component is 0, theta cap component exists. That means here your vector field is along theta cap. Can I draw like this? Here vector field along like this, here vector field like this. So if you are on the x-axis, same thing will happen. This is r cap, so 90 degree, theta cap. But the electric field direction along theta cap, because theta equal to 90 degree, cos 90 0. Is that okay? Suppose if you are on negative z axis, now your theta is 180 degree, 0, but here you will get negative sign minus r cap. So like this. So can I draw that histogram? Can I draw that whole vector field by taking only plane? Okay, I have my dipole here. Let me take a yz plane, suppose. Isn't it? If you are on negative y-axis, the same thing will happen. Remember, it is along theta cap direction. Okay, just check it out. Your electric field will be like this. So this is z cap, this is any other one, x or y axis, it doesn't matter. So wherever you are on z cap, you will get electric field along this direction actually. Wherever you are along minus z cap, your electric field is like this. On the xy plane, your electric field is downward. Wherever you take. So now that is actually, we call this one as pure dipole. If you are just writing P like a very point dipole, I think we have used that word, pure dipole. What I have used earlier, point dipole. I said point dipole, ideal dipole, one more word I have used. Perfect dipole. Is that okay? If you take like that, if it is point, you can draw the field like that. Okay, you can draw the field like that. If you have written physical dipole means there will be some finite, separation between positive and negative charge. Am I right? That is a physical dipole, actual one. This is the field due to pure dipole. Now, while writing pure dipole, you should not, you should not show positive and negative charge. You have to show only P vector. Okay. So now, can you just send this one? Just see the figure number 3.37. So, field due to pure dipole, field due to physical dipole. Okay, they have asked question this one in some exam. Just try to understand. Suppose negative to positive, right? Negative charge here, positive charge here. Now how field will be? Very logical. Isn't it? You have to show like this. This is field due to physical dipole. This is field due to pure dipole. You should not show where is positive or negative charge. And see that one. He hasn't written P vector also. He has assumed there is one dipole, point dipole at the origin, and he has just drawn the field due to that one. Okay? Field due to pure dipole, field due to physical dipole. Okay? So this is all about electric field due to dipole. Now look at here, you should know how to apply this formula. I applied this one on the x-axis, on the y-axis, on the z-axis, minus z-axis. Okay, you should know how to apply, because in the next chapter we have a problem on this one. Okay. Now 34th problem, 33rd problem. Yeah, 33rd problem is to make use of this. Now look at here. If you have any dipole, look at here. He has taken pure dipole situated at the origin pointing along z-axis. Okay. And he asked, so suppose I put some charge here. Suppose I put some charge here. What are the forces? What are the direction of the forces? Now again, these all are approximation. Okay. Now as I told, if you find curl, you will get curl of this one. Don't you feel like it will have curl, this kind of field? But only this approximated one. So it will have quadrupole term, octupole term that we have neglected. At very large distance, this is the dominant one. That's what we have taken. Be careful, okay? Be careful to while handling this one. This is not a total one. Anyway, we can apply. Whenever he said there is a pure dipole at the origin, which is pointing along z cap, you can take electric field due to that one is this one. And you can find force due to that one, isn't it? Now do problem number 3.33. Let me do in the next class. Okay? If you got any mistake, if you got any problem, let me do that one. Again, only thing I think he might have placed one charge here. What is the force on this one? You have to find electric field, multiply by charge, you get force. Force on the charge at this point, like that, okay? So just do that one. What is the force on charge q placed it on x-axis? Force on charge q placed on z-axis. How much work it takes to move charge q from x-axis to z-axis? How do you find that work? Yeah? From x-axis to z-axis, how do you go? Any direction. You can go in any direction. But I think, yeah, what you are thinking? You can find potential difference. Multiply by the charge. Work done in moving the charge. You can take V dipole. I hope so. Or find in both way. Okay, try in both way. Line integral of electric field is nothing but that potential. Am I right? Again, that is related to potential difference. Okay. Again, anyway, you know electric field due to potential. Make use of that. That's what I think. Okay. Just solve that one. Now 34th problem, and have a note on 36th problem. Okay. Let me make use of that 36th problem also. Suppose if you don't want to use a coordinate form of that electric field and potential, you can make use of that. Okay, 35th one. So it has no reference to z-axis or something. Look at that 35th electric field due to dipole. Have a note on that one. Okay, you don't have to prove. Electric field due to dipole. You'll write that one as coordinate free form, because here you have to what you call, take your z-axis along dipole moment vector or dipole moment along z-axis. Then only this formula applies. So this is 1 by 4 phi epsilon naught 1 by r cube 3 into p vector dot r cap into r cap, because this is a scalar, minus p vector. Same formula will come in case of magnetic dipole, because electric dipole, magnetic dipole, fields are same formula come. Okay, similar formula come, because when you see magnetic dipole also, you will feel that those what you call vector lines are like this, because this will talk about vector line. Am I right? Vector field. So that's why magnetic dipole, only this part will be different. This part will be same. And this same formula will come in that chapter also. Okay, magnetostatic. Electric dipole, coordinate free form. Now you can take p vector in any direction. Only thing, this dot products will take here. Okay, you don't have to align p vector along z cap direction. Okay, yeah. The comment. Which one? Okay. He has done mistake. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of problems outside the chapter. If I feel they may ask this problem in the just exam, I'll solve that one while revising. Okay. Is that okay? Or at least in the month of December end, I'm going to take classes again. If I feel they are asking some other question, let me try them. I think now we can go for electric fields in matter in the next class. But take a break quickly. We shall have half an hour class on particle physics. Okay? Yeah. Particle physics. V minus, I don't get it. So then you better to use this one. If you are not aligning dipole along the z axis, you have to take this one. That's why he derived coordinate free form like that. That you have to take this formula. Okay, write your dipole P vector is equal to P into y cap like that, or P vector equal to P into x cap. Suppose if you are aligning along x cap, okay, then the whole formula will take coordinate free form. But these two are again. So I prefer using these two because you better to work out on that one. I prefer using these two because you have your own choice of finding the coordinate. If they are asking final physical quantity, which will be always independent of the coordinate, okay, we can get answer usually. Okay, yeah. Why he's saying 0? No, that is not 0. Okay, I mean now this formula will not work. If you align dipole moment in other than z direction, this formula will not work. Then this will work. Okay. Yeah, or take a simplest case, align your dipole moment along x cap direction, find the fields along z or some other direction, other axis. Okay, try to work it out. Are you getting my point? What is this r cap over there? R cap is the position vector, unit vector from the origin where you are the location, the point of interest. Okay, position vector, r vector is a position vector of a point of interest. So suppose if I have taken this is field here, this is r vector, this is r cap vector. I hope you got that idea. R cap is, so your r vector is position vector, r cap is unit vector along that direction.